G'day Bomber fans, we have a massive game tonight, Bombers v Bulldogs, Marvel Stadium, home of Iron Man and really average Chips, but also possibly home of the earliest elimination final of the year. This is a huge game for both clubs. It can make or shape the 8, so today I'm going to see whether we will make the 8. I'm going to discuss which games are most important to us. So, will Essendon play in September? We will find out after a quick word from Manscaped. Bomber fans, this race for finals has me stressed, and stress makes me sweat. Sweaty pits, sweaty balls, seems like the perfect time to eliminate them with Manscaped. Body grooming gear, gear for your balls, pits, feet, everywhere really, and with me, you can save 20% off on Manscaped products with my discount code EverythingEssendon20. Now on to the video. So first, I'm going to have a little look at the ladder predictions made by Fox Footy. Every year they conduct a little run home ladder projection, and it has us making the 8. It bases it off opponents and percentages. We are finished 7th here with 12.45 wins, and I think this brings me to an important factor that I really didn't see coming until now: the amount of wins needed to make finals. Because before the year and even a few weeks ago, that number was 13 wins and you make the 8. But because it's such a close race for final spots with so many teams in the mix, it seems like it could even be 12 wins now with a handy percentage. That's why only 4 teams here have above 13 wins, and 5th spot Geelong has 12.8. That is a number I think would have been with 7th or 8th spot before the year for the projected ladder. The ladder has us playing against the Dogs, their home final, Carlton making the 8, Geelong 5th, St Kilda just missing out, Richmond 2. Do I think this is how it will look? I doubt it. It's never 100% accurate with 5 or 6 games left, but like I said, I think it's important to look at this because it shows the projected amount of wins needed is not that magic 13 number that we have all been thinking it was. So Essendon as a club right now have 9 wins to their name. We need 3 more, or I'd probably be happier with 4 more to get 13 wins, because I think if we get 13, we definitely make the 8, 12, and we're a real good chance. So I'm going to see if we make the 8 with our remaining games. I'm going to put this to the test and conduct a little ladder predictor on the official AFL site and change around some of our important games to show how meaningful they really are to our season. And for the other games, I'm just going to select the favourites because that just seems the most logical. Okay, so here we are before the game, or after the game. Every team has played except us. Just for the sake of the video, I'm going to do our games at the end of the round. This is what the ladder looks like. If we haven't played, we're 10th and 11th, the Bulldogs and Bombers, which it shows the stakes of this game. It's massive. So what happens if Essendon win? We win, let's say by 10 points, and go up to 6th spot on the ladder. The Bulldogs go down to 11th. The same thing happens with the Bulldogs winning. So whoever wins goes to 6th pretty much. Whoever loses goes to 11th. That's a massive game. You want to be in the 8, so to drop out and go to 11th because teams like Carlton, Richmond and GWS and St Kilda have all won, that just shows how important this game is. For the sake of the video, we're going to say the Bulldogs win. Round, I don't know what round it is, 20 I think. Sydney, it's a big game again. It shows, for starters, before the game started, that we're cemented in this finals race because we haven't gone down on the ladder despite having not played in this scenario. Sydney, on the other hand, they're quite a while away from us because they have to beat Freo, which is a tough game the week before. But if they win this, I don't even think they make the 8. They are sitting in 10th. So they're still a while away. They have some big games to win. Us, on the other hand, if we win against the Swans, we go to 8th. At Marvel Stadium, you're backing us to win. And that just shows we're right in the mix, especially because we have some big games or some easy games coming up against North and the Eagles after this. Speaking of North and the Eagles are favourite to beat North, so good on them. They get a win on the board. I just thought I'd put that out there. All right, round 21 against the Eagles. This is a game that we really shouldn't lose, and the good news for us is that there's a genuine chance that we start the round in the 8, or I guess end the round in the 8 even if we do lose. So let's say Sydney beat GWS, we're in the 8, or Carlton beat St Kilda. Oh, sorry, we're still not in the 8. But you get what I'm saying. We're going to beat the Eagles anyway, and we should beat them pretty well. So if we do win, we go to 8th spot. This is also assuming that Geelong beats Port, which is it's a tough game for them. I've just put them winners because it's at GMHBA. But let's say we win by 50 points. We get that percentage back up. If Port beat Geelong, we're above Geelong. GWS are in the 8. Bulldogs Richmond is another tough game as well. You look at that. Richmond win, we're 6. So there's a lot that can still happen. Every game is important, and it just shows that. But I'm going to have it looking like this before our game against North, which is already, it's good. You know, we're in the eight. We're ahead of GWS and Carlton, who have some tough games coming up as well. Round 22, I think this is a really tough round for tipping in general, because you have games like Sydney versus Gold Coast, which doesn't affect us too much. But then there are games like St Kilda and Richmond. I don't really like St Kilda as a club. I don't think they play good footy. They're in 6th spot somehow. It's because they're favourites to win these games because they're higher on the ladder. But when you put them up against a team like Richmond, who are also battling, I think Richmond win. Let's say St Kilda win it, they go to 5th. That just doesn't make sense to me. I think Richmond win it, and that way it puts more stress on us in a final sense, because I think we finish above St Kilda anyway, but Richmond on our breathing down our necks as well is going to be tough. But before the round, again, 8th spot, so if we win, also Geelong Collingwood, that's a big game, but I'll get to that in a sec. If we win, and let's say we win by about 30 odd points, we go to 7th. So you'd want those 3 games in a row, Swans, Eagles, North, to put us higher on the ladder, because we have 2 tough games to end the year. But we're above Geelong. That's if Collingwood beat them. If Geelong beat the Pies at the MCG, they go to 6th, we stay in 8th. So it's a game of fine margins, really, because we're only 4 points ahead of GWS, who we play the week after this. So it's really tough, especially with GWS breathing down our necks if they beat us. And if they beat Port, which I don't think they will, or let's say St Kilda beat Richmond, it looks a lot different, because if St Kilda beat the Tigers, really there's only one more team outside the 8 challenging for finals, and that's GWS. But we're going to go Richmond to win just to make things spicy. Second to last round, this is where it gets really interesting, because Richmond are now 2 points behind us. GWS are 4 points behind us, with percentage playing a big role in both these teams, because we are ahead on percentage. It doesn't really matter with Richmond, because if they win in the final round, they're ahead of us. GWS versus Essendon, massive game for the finals. It really is. If we win, we're safe. We make finals. It's as simple as that. We're 6th. The teams below cannot catch us the next week. If we lose, on the other hand, we're right at risk, because GWS are now only behind on percentage. It's why those games against North and West Coast are really important to build percentage. But it's also important because GWS have a game next week that they could potentially win as well. Let's see if St Kilda win. Does that change anything? Not really. The Cats fall out. They can leapfrog us the week after anyway. So I think really the teams at risk are, it's just Essendon and St Kilda for finals in this last projected week. It's my tips anyway. I don't think this is how it's going to play out, but it paints a picture for you guys. To end the year, there are 2 massive games. There's Carlton, GWS, and Essendon, Collingwood. This shows how important the end of the season is. It shows that we probably do need to beat either the Bulldogs, Giants, or Pies to make finals, because we'll lose against the Pies. We all know this. We could win, obviously. If we do win, we're safe. We go up to 7th. Not really, no home final. But if we lose against the Pies, we're at risk, because GWS have Carlton. Now, if Carlton win, we make finals. Carlton go up a spot. They're out of the equation there. If GWS win, we're out of the 8. And that just shows that there are some really big games that shape the 8, because, well, let's see if Carlton win. All they need to do really is win one more game before that. Let's find a game they can win. For example, this against Gold Coast. They're in 10th and they're 1 win out the 8, with GWS not too far either. So there are these really important games for both teams, for GWS and Carlton, because there are games that they could genuinely win. Like this one, for example. If Carlton just beat Gold Coast and St Kilda, they're in the 8. And we're out, and GWS are in, I guess, actually. Out as well, sorry, by this equation. Now I'm confused. It really does show how small the margins are, because a game like Carlton versus St Kilda completely changes the outlook of the season. Before, it has Carlton out of the 8. They can't really win, even if they win against GWS in the last round. But if you have Carlton winning, and them beating Gold Coast earlier, like I did before, then it completely changes it, and they switch if they beat the Giants in the last round. It doesn't affect us too much, but it just shows that everything's up in the air. It's hard to predict. Will we make finals? I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a really tough question to answer. I hope this sheds some light. All it tells me is that 13 win, the magic 13 wins that were seen as needed to make the 8, it's not really a thing, because there are so many teams in and around the 8. There are still teams like St Kilda and Adelaide and Richmond as well, who all they need is one upset and they're right back in the mix with 12 wins. That's how important it is, especially for a team like Richmond who have the draw to their name, or a team like Sydney. If they get a few wins under their belt, they have a draw to their name as well. So it's really weird season. This is just a quick video because I haven't made a third this week and I didn't have any ideas, but let me know down below where you think we'll finish on the ladder. Let me know what games you think are most important to our season. Like I said, I think we need to beat either the Dogs, the Giants, or the Pies to make finals, along with the 3 wins we should probably get from Sydney, North and West Coast. But yeah, let me know down below what you think. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, and go Bombers.